Welcome dear student and Jai Swaminarayan. In the previous video of the chapter, up till now we were discussed about a vector algebra. Dear student, vector algebra is most useful topic in the 11-12 physics. So dear student, up till now you have not seen the previous video. See the previous video first, then you can easily understand the next video of the chapters. Right? How the vector is represented, what is the vector algebra, how the addition and the subtraction of the vector by the different method, right? That all the things we were discussed in the previous video. So dear student, in this video we will discuss about the motion in a plane, how the position of the particle is represented in the 2 dimension, in the 3 dimension, how the velocity is represented, how the acceleration is represented, how we can calculate the magnitude of the velocity, magnitude of the acceleration, that all the things we will discuss in this video. So dear student, to represent the motion in a 2 dimension and the 3 dimension, we use a vector form. To represent the position of the object, to represent the to find out the displacement of the object in the 2 dimension as well as in the 3 dimension, we use a vector, right? So vector representation of the position, vector representation of the displacement, how the displacement vector can be calculated, how the position vector we can write in the form of the component, in the form of the magnitude and the direction, that all the things we will discuss in this video. Then after we will understand in this video what is the velocity, how we can represent the velocity vector, how we can find the magnitude and the direction of the velocity as well as the acceleration, right? That all the things. So the first point to represent the motion is important, the position. Why? Because what is the definition of the motion? When the object change its position with respect to some reference point, with respect to another object, we can say that the object is in the motion. So to understand the motion in a 2 dimension as well as in the 3 dimension, we require to understand what is the position vector, right? And how we can calculate the displacement vector. So dear student, let us start with the position vector and the displacement vector, right? So as shown in the figure, right, a particle is at a point P, right? Suppose at the any time the particle is at a point P, has a coordinate x coordinate and the y coordinate. How we can represent the x coordinate of the particle and the y coordinate of the particle? So here the particle is at a P, has a x coordinate x and y coordinate be a y. So let us assume that the coordinates of the particle at a point P is a x coordinate is a x and y coordinate is a y. So the position vector, or what is the position vector of the point P? The vector joining from the origin to the point P is called the position vector of the point P at that time. Now if the position vector of the point P remains constant with the time, we can say that the object is a stationary, right? So what is the position vector? The position vector is a vector joining from the origin or a reference point to the any point in the xy plane is called the position vector of the point P, and position vector is represented by a vector r. Position vector is represented by a vector r. So in the 2 dimensional motion and the 3 dimensional motion, we use to represent the position of the particle, we use a position vector, right? So here the position vector of the point P in a xy plane is a vector OP, right? Vector OP. Now vector OP has a two component. X component of the vector OP is a x and the y component of the vector OP is a y. So let us discuss that the position vector P, position vector of the point P on the xy plane is represented by a vector r, right, of a particle P located in a plane with reference to the origin. So here in the definition, the reference point must be indicated, because if the reference point is changed, the position of the particle is changed and the position vector is changed, right? So here the position vector of the particle p is a vector op, right? So vector op has a two component. The x component of the vector op in the direction of the x axis is a x, and the y component of the vector op in the direction of the y is a y. So how we can write the vector op? Vector op is equal to the addition of their perpendicular component, right? So x component of the vector op or the vector r is a xi, and the y component of the vector op, or we can say that the vector r is a yj, right? So here the position vector is represented by r is equal to xi plus yj, where xi is the x component of the position vector r along the x axis and y is the y component of the position vector along the y axis, right? So this way, in the form of the coordinate also, we can represent the vector, right? The position vector r is equal to x y. So here x component is a x and y component in the direction of the x axis is a x, and component in the direction of the y axis is a y. So the position vector is represented like this, right? R is equal to xi plus yj in the 3 dimension. How we can represent the position vector? Third component is there in the direction of the z axis, along the z axis, that is a zk. So in the 3 dimension, the position vector is represented by a xi plus yj plus zk, where x, y and z is the component of the position vector along the x axis, y axis and the z axis. So dear student, understand how the position vector is represented and what is the position vector. The position vector is a vector joining from the reference point to the any point in a plane is called the position vector of that point, right? Now if the position vector remains constant with the time, the object is stationary, or we can say that the object is at a rest. But if the position vector changes with the time, if the position of the particle changes with the time, we can say that the object is in the motion, right? So for that, how we can find the displacement from the position vector, right? Suppose, consider that suppose a particle moves in this curved path, right, in the xy plane, right? Suppose a particle moves in the xy plane along this curved path shown in a blue line, right? So now at the time t, the particle is at a point p and the position vector of the particle p. How we can represent the position vector of the particle p? Vector joining from the reference point to the particle point p is called the position vector at the point at that time. Position vector of the particle at that point, right? So now here at the time t, the particle is at a point p and the coordinates of the point p is a x and y, right? So here the coordinate of the particle p is a x and coordinate of the particle p is a y, right? So how we can represent the position vector of the particle p at the time t is a r is equal to xi plus yj, as we discussed previously, right? The position vector of the any point is represented in their component form xi plus yj. Now after some time, at the time t dash, t is equal to t dash, the particle moves from p to p dash. Now here the coordinates of the point, coordinates of the particle changes from x to x dash and y to y dash, right? So the position vector of the particle p at the time t dash is given by the r dash is equal to x dash I plus y dash j. So here the position vector, the difference in this position vector is called the displacement vector, right? So here the at the time t, the position vector of the particle r is equal to xi plus yj, and at the time t dash, the position vector of the particle p is at a r dash is equal to x dash I plus y dash j. Now what is the displacement vector? The displacement vector is a vector of a difference between the position vector. Final position vector r dash minus r. So here, how we can represent the displacement vector? The displacement of the particle is a vector pp dash. Here the vector pp dash is the displacement vector of the particle during a time t and t dash. So vector joining from the initial position and the final position is called the displacement vector. So draw the vector pp dash. So first vector is the initial position vector is a r o vector op. Second vector is a final position vector r dash vector op dash, and pp dash is the displacement vector, right? So vector joining from the initial position to the final position is called the displacement vector. So from this triangle, using a triangular law of the vector addition, we can say that OP dash is equal to OP plus PP dash. So dear student, you know the triangular law for the vector addition or the triangular method for the vector addition. First vector, on the head of the first vector draw a second vector by joining a tail of the first vector and the head of the second vector, we get the resultant vector. So from the triangular law of the vector addition, we can say that vector OP dash is equal to vector OP plus vector PP dash. So from that we can easily find the displacement vector. So displacement vector PP dash is equal to OP dash minus OP. That we can say that the final position vector minus initial position vector, or the displacement vector can be represented by vector delta r. So vector delta r is equal to final position vector r dash minus r, right? So understand dear student, what is the displacement vector, and the velocity is in the direction of the displacement vector, that we will see later on, right? So how we can calculate the component form of the displacement vector? So here the component form of the displacement vector, so displacement delta r is equal to r dash vector minus vector r. So here the r dash vector is a x dash I plus y dash j minus, what is the vector r? Xi plus yj. So if you subtract these two vector, we get a delta r vector, displacement vector delta r vector is equal to x dash minus x I plus y dash minus y into j. So here the displacement in the direction of the x and the displacement in the direction of the y. So displacement in the direction of the x is represented by a delta xi plus displacement in the direction of the y is represented by a delta yj, right? So where delta x is equal to x dash minus x I plus delta y is equal to y dash minus yj, right? So here x component of the displacement vector, we get the y component of the displacement vector, we get the displacement vector. And now if you want to calculate the magnitude of the displacement vector, how we can find the magnitude of the displacement vector? Magnitude of the displacement vector can be easily calculated by square root of the addition of the square of the component, right? So that we were discussed in the previous video. So how we can calculate the magnitude from the vector? So understand dear student, what is the position vector and what is the displacement vector. So now dear student, if the particle change its position, right, we can say that the particle is in the motion, and for that we need to define the velocity vector, right? If the velocity of the object changes with the time, we need to define the acceleration. So let us see that what is the velocity and how we can define the average velocity, how we can calculate the average velocity and the instantaneous velocity. So here the average velocity of an object is the ratio of the displacement and the time interval. So from that we can say that average velocity vector v or v bar is equal to delta r, that is the displacement vector, divided by delta t. Here the delta t is a scalar quantity. So the displacement vector, if the displacement vector is divided by the time interval delta t, we get the average velocity. So here we know that delta r is equal to delta xi plus delta yj. So if you put instead of this delta r, delta xi plus delta yj, we get the component form of the average velocity. So here we get a delta x divided by delta ti plus delta y divided by delta tj, right? So this x, delta x by delta t, is the x component of the average velocity, and delta y by delta t is the y component of the average velocity, right? So the average velocity can be represented in the form of the component v bar is equal to vx bar, that is the average velocity in the direction of the x-axis, and vy bar, that is the average velocity in the direction of the y-axis. So we can find the average velocity by dividing a displacement vector by a time interval delta t. So from this average velocity vector vxi plus vyj, we can easily calculate the magnitude of the average velocity, right? So now the instantaneous velocity. Dear student, we know that. What do you mean by the instantaneous velocity? From the average velocity, we cannot get the velocity at the instant of the time. So for that, we take the instantaneous velocity. So instantaneous velocity of the particle is equal to the limiting value of the average velocity, where the time interval approaches to the 0. So if we take a limit delta t tends to 0 in the average velocity, we get the instantaneous velocity. So the instantaneous velocity at the time t, v is defined as limit delta t tends to 0, average velocity delta r by delta t, and that is a dr by dt. Differentiation of the position vector with respect to time gives the instantaneous velocity at the time t. So here the instantaneous velocity v is equal to dr by dt. So dear student, understand how we can find the instantaneous velocity. Differentiation of the position vector with respect to time give us the instantaneous velocity. Now from the graph, how we can calculate the instantaneous velocity? Suppose consider that the object is moving along a curved path like this in a blue line, right? So at the time t, the object is at a point P and the object is at a point P1. After some time, the object is at a point P1. So we get the, here the position of the point P is a vector R and the position of the point P1 is a vector R1, right? So if you calculate the displacement vector, right? So here the displacement vector is in the direction of the vector P1, and that is the direction of the average velocity. So here the direction of the average velocity is in the direction of the displacement vector. So here the direction of the average velocity during a time interval delta t1 is a displacement vector is a delta p delta r1, that is equal to vector p1, and the direction of the average velocity is in the direction of the displacement vector. Now as we reducing the time interval delta t approaches to the 0, we take the point P2. So the direction of the velocity is in the direction of the vector P2, right? So again if we reducing the time interval, right, delta t, we get a point P and P3. So the direction of the average velocity is in the direction of the delta R3. Now if we take a time interval very small, right, we get the tangent drawn at the curve. We get the two instant at a point P. The direction of the velocity is in the direction of the tangent drawn at a point P. So here from this graph we can say that the direction of the instantaneous velocity as the time interval approaches to the 0 is called the instantaneous velocity, and the direction of the instantaneous velocity at any point gives the is calculated with the help of the tangent drawn at that point. So the tangent drawn at any point in the curve gives the direction of the instantaneous velocity at that point. Understand, dear student? So let us revise that, right? So in this figure, the curve line shows the path of the object. The object at a point P at the time t1, at a point P1, P2 and P3 are the position of the object after the time interval delta t1, delta t2 and delta t3. Here we reducing a time interval, that we can say that delta t1 is greater than delta t2 is greater than delta t3, right? So here the direction of the average velocity v are shown parallel to the direction of the displacement vector delta r1. So in the first situation, the direction of the average velocity is in the direction of the displacement vector delta r1. In the second, the direction of the average velocity is in the direction of the delta r2. In the third case, the direction of the average velocity is a delta r3 in the direction of the delta r3. So from that we can say that the direction of the average velocity is in the direction of the displacement vector. Now as we reducing the time interval delta t approaches to the zero very small, the direction of the velocity is along the tangent to the path. So the direction of the instantaneous velocity, that is the average velocity where the limiting value of the delta t approaches to the zero, right? So when the time interval delta t approaches to the zero very small, the direction velocity is called the instantaneous velocity, and the direction of the velocity or the direction of the instantaneous velocity is along the tangent to the path in the last figure, right? If you want to calculate the velocity at a point P, if you draw a tangent at the point P, it gives the direction of the instantaneous velocity. So the direction of the instantaneous velocity at any point on the path of an object is the tangent to the path at that point. So dear student, understand the direction of the average velocity is in the direction of the displacement vector, and the direction of the instantaneous velocity at any point on the path of an object is the tangent to the path at that point. Now dear student, how we can calculate the velocity vector or the component form of the velocity vector? Here dear student, by the definition of the instantaneous velocity, we know that the instantaneous velocity is given by v is equal to dr by dt, or we can say that the limit delta t tends to 0, delta r by delta t, limiting value of the average velocity when the time interval delta t approaches to the 0 is called the instantaneous velocity. So we know that v is equal to dr by dt, or limit delta t tends to 0, delta t by delta t. Now from this, delta r is called the displacement vector. So if you put the value of the displacement vector, limit delta t tends to 0, delta xi plus delta yj divided by delta t, right? So or we can say that the r is equal to xi plus yj. We can also put the, instead of this r, we can put a xi plus yj. So here we get a v is equal to limit delta t tends to 0, delta x by delta t j plus limit delta t tends to 0, delta x by delta y by delta t j. So here this one, here this limit delta t tends to limit delta t tends to 0, delta x by delta t is called the dx by dt into I, right? Into I, that means the x component of the instantaneous velocity, and limit delta t tends to 0, delta y by delta t is called the dy by dt, or it is called the y component of the instantaneous velocity. So here the we take up v is equal to vxi plus vyj. We get the velocity, instantaneous velocity vector in the 2 dimension, or in the 3 dimension we take a third component vx, vy and vz, right? Where vx is equal to delta limit delta t tends to 0, delta x by delta t, or dx by dt, that is the x component of the instantaneous velocity, and vy is equal to limit delta t tends to 0, delta y by delta t, or dy by dt, that is the y component of the instantaneous velocity. Now from this velocity vector, how we can calculate the magnitude of the velocity and the direction of the velocity vector? So from this velocity vector, the magnitude of the velocity, that is the v is equal to magnitude of the velocity, that is a speed, v is equal to under root of vx square plus vy square, right? How we can find the magnitude of the any vector? Square root of the addition of the square of the component. So here the two component vx and vy. So the magnitude of the velocity under root of vx square plus vy square, right? Now how we can find the velocity makes an angle with the positive x-axis. Theta is equal to tan inverse y component divided by x component. How we can calculate, we will see later on with the help of the example, right, in this video. So dear student, understand velocity and the instantaneous velocity. If the object moves with the constant velocity, that means the magnitude of the velocity and the direction of the velocity is constant, with we can say that the object is moved with the uniform motion, right? So what do you mean by the uniform velocity? So if the magnitude of the velocity and the direction of the velocity remains constant with the time, we can say that the object is said to be in a uniform motion. But if the magnitude will be changed or the direction will be changed, or both magnitude and the direction is changes with the time, we can say that the object is moving with the motion of the object is a accelerated motion. So to produce the acceleration in the 2-dimensional and the 3-dimensional, the velocity can be changed, and velocity can be changed with the help of the 3 way, right? First, magnitude only change. Second one is the direction only change. And if the magnitude and the direction both change, in all the 3 cases, the velocity of the object changes, and we can say that the acceleration is produced in the object. So what do you mean by the acceleration? The rate of change of velocity with time is called the acceleration. The time rate of the change of velocity is called the acceleration. And how the velocity of an object changes? The velocity of an object can be changed with the 3 way. First, magnitude of the velocity changes. Second way, only the direction of the velocity changes. And third way, the magnitude and the direction of the velocity changes. Now if the magnitude, only the magnitude of the velocity changes, we can say that the acceleration and the velocity are in the same direction. If the magnitude is increases, the velocity and the acceleration vector are in the same direction. But if the magnitude of the velocity is decreases, the velocity and acceleration vector are in the opposite direction. Now if the velocity, the direction of the velocity, only the direction of the velocity changes, that we can say that here the velocity vector and the acceleration vector are perpendicular to each other. So if the velocity of an object changes with the time, right, magnitude, direction and magnitude and the direction both, right, the motion is said to be a acceleration motion. And for that, the average acceleration can be defined by the change in the velocity divided by time interval. So here the average acceleration A of an object for a time interval delta t moving in the xy plane is the change in the velocity divided by the time interval, and the direction of the average acceleration is in the direction of the change in the velocity, right? So from that, the average acceleration A is equal to dv by dt, or we can say that the limit delta t tends to 0, delta v by delta t, right? Here delta v is the change in the velocity. So if we put a component form, limit delta t tends to 0, delta vxi, that is the direction of the change in the velocity in a x-axis, and delta yj divided by delta t, we get the acceleration. We get the acceleration A is equal to axi plus ayj, right, where ax is the x component of the acceleration, ax is equal to x component of the acceleration is a dv by dt, right, dvx by dt. That is, if we differentiate the velocity with respect to time, we get the acceleration. Now if we differentiate the x component of the velocity with respect to time, we get the x component of the acceleration. Similarly, if we differentiate y component of the velocity with respect to time, we get the y component of the acceleration. So we get the acceleration A is equal to axi plus ayj. Now from that, how we can find the magnitude and the direction? You can easily find magnitude of the acceleration by under root of a ax square plus ay square, and angle theta with the x-axis is a tan inverse ay divided by ax. So dear student, average acceleration is the change in the velocity divided by time interval, and the direction of the average acceleration is in the direction of the change in the velocity. Now instantaneous velocity, the limiting value of the average acceleration when the time interval approaches to the 0 is called the instantaneous acceleration. So instantaneous acceleration we can found with the help of the previous a is equal to dv by dt, right? Differentiation of the velocity with respect to time give us the instantaneous velocity, right? And the change in the velocity divided by time interval we get the average acceleration. So as shown in this graph, this line, blue line, gives the path of the object represented by this curved line. So here the object is moves along this curved path P1, right? Now at the point P, the velocity of the particle is v1. So here the object is at a point P. The velocity of the object at a point P is a v1. Now after some times the object is at a point P1. The velocity of the object is at a point P1 is a v dash. So here the velocity of an object at any point is the tangent drawn at that point. So here the direction of the velocity at the point P in the direction of the tangent, that is a v, and at the point P1 the direction of the velocity is a v dash. Similarly, if we take after some times the velocity at the point P and P2, P3 and P3. So here we limiting the time interval, reducing the time interval delta t, we get the instantaneous velocity at the instantaneous acceleration. So dear student, how we can find the direction of the acceleration? The direction of the acceleration can be find, or the direction of the average acceleration is in the direction of the change in the velocity. So from this first figure, here the velocity v is in this direction and the velocity of the v at the point P1 is v dash is in this direction, right? So the change in the velocity is in this direction. So with the help of the triangular law of the addition, we can find the change in the direction of the change in the velocity, and the direction of the average acceleration is in the direction of the change in the velocity. So in this figure, if we take a v, direction of the v is this, direction of the v dash is this, so we get the change in the velocity is in this direction. So the direction of the average acceleration is in this direction. Similarly, if we take v and v dash, p and p2, which is closer than the p and p1, right, limiting the value of the delta t, p and p3, we can find the direction of the average acceleration. But as the time interval delta t is very small, delta t tends to 0, we can find the average direction of the acceleration in this direction, right? It is a perpendicular to the velocity, right? So understand the instantaneous acceleration. Now how we can calculate the velocity and the acceleration from the equation of the position? Let us understand with the help of the one example. Example number 4.4 given in the textbook also, right? Here the position of the particle is given by a position vector. Position vector is given to you, vector r is equal to 3ti plus 2t square j plus 5k, right? So here the position vector is given to you, r is equal to 3ti plus 2t square j plus 5k, where t in the second and the coefficient have a proper unit for the r to be in the meter. First find the velocity vector vt and the acceleration vector at of the particle, and second find the magnitude and the direction of the velocity at the t equal to 1 second. So dear student, how we can find the velocity from the position equation? The differentiation of the position with respect to time gives the instantaneous velocity. So velocity at the time t, vt is equal to dr by dt. Just we need to differentiate the equation of the position. So d by dt, we write the equation of the position vector r, 3ti plus 2t square j plus 5k. Now how we can differentiate? So you can understand, you can differentiate this equation, right? 3ti, 3 is constant, the differentiation of the t is a 1, so we get a 3i plus 2t square, the differentiation of the 2t square is a 2 constant, the differentiation of t square is a 2t, so we get a 4tj. Here 5 is a constant, so differentiation of the constant is 0, so no need to write. So we get the velocity at the time t, Vt is equal to 3I plus 4tj, right? Now how we can find the acceleration? Acceleration at is equal to differentiation of the velocity with respect to time gives the acceleration. So here acceleration at is equal to dv by dt. Further we differentiate this equation, d by dt of 3I plus 4tj. Here 3 is a constant, so the differentiation of the 3 is a 0. 4 is a constant, differentiation of the t is a 1. So we get the 4j. So here the acceleration is a 4j. So we can say that the magnitude of the acceleration is a 4 meter per second square, and the direction of the acceleration is along the y direction, because j means the direction of the acceleration is along the y direction. Now how we can find the velocity at the time t equal to 1, at the time t equal to 2, right? So from the velocity vector Vt is equal to 3I plus 4tj, we can calculate the velocity at any time. So now at the time t equal to 1 second, the velocity is v is equal to 3I. Instead of this t, we place a 1, that is a 4j. So we get the velocity vector at the time t equal to 1 second is a v is equal to 3I plus 4j. Now how we can find the magnitude of this velocity? Magnitude of the velocity v is equal to under root of addition of the square of the component. So first x component is a 3 square plus 4 square. We get the magnitude of the velocity is a 5 meter per second, and the direction theta is equal to tan inverse vy divided by vx, right? So here tan inverse y component of the velocity is a 4 divided by x component of the velocity is 3. If you divide 4 by 3, you get the 1.3333, right? And if you find the angle from the trigonometry values, we get the angle theta is equal to approximately 53 degree, exact 53.1 degree with the positive axis. So here the magnitude of the velocity is a 5 meter per second, and direction of the velocity is a 53 degree with the positive x-axis, right? So this way we can find the velocity and the acceleration from the position vector. How we can find the velocity? The differentiation of the position vector with respect to time gives the velocity, and the differentiation of the velocity with respect to time gives the acceleration. Understand, dear student?